Greetings, everyone. I'm excited to welcome Ratnesh Verma, founder and CEO at Pidge. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ben. It's great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here. Let's dive right in. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Cool. So I've got a very diverse background, and I'm kind of like defined by my experiences. I've worked in 7 different countries. Prior to founding Pidge, I was the global president for Whitbread, which is a UK listed company, better known for its brand Costa Coffee and Premier Inn Hotels. And prior to that, I was with Hyatt, responsible for development, investments, acquisitions across Asia Pacific region. And as I said, I worked in 7 different countries, including some very interesting ones like Japan and Dubai and Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's great. And so, really interesting, the Hyatt hotel background. And then it sounds like and after that, you mentioned it was a coffee company?
Yes, Costa Coffee.
Okay. Costa Coffee. Okay. Yeah, I love a good cup of coffee, but we won't talk about that. So it sounds like a non-tech background. And then now, is this your first SaaS startup role or founder role then?
Yes, it is. It is. And, again, I went to Stanford, did my master's in corporate innovation. So I guess the seeds of entrepreneurship was sown then. So my background's not tech, but my background is growing businesses from scratch and building brands from scratch. And I'm also very fortunate to have a fantastic co-founder who takes care of the product and tech. So while I take care of the vision and just really mapping out the market problem with what we build from a product offering point of view, my co-founder brings all of that to life from an execution perspective.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, amazing background working in different countries and different companies. So how did that happen where all of a sudden, you became a startup founder? Did you just, meet your co-founder and start talking? What happened where you decided to start a SaaS company?
Yeah, so I think it was all about timing. It was about the opportunity in India. We saw the ecommerce, the whole ecosystem, just, explosive growth. It's growing, it's doubling every 3 years. It's about 175 billion today. It'll be $1 trillion by the end of the decade. And then combine that with the fact that, the ecosystem or the e-commerce is still less than 8% of all the retail, compared to over 20% in global average and close to 30% in the US, for example. So this entire space, the e-commerce space, fascinated me. Saw a huge opportunity there, and then clearly what I realized was all e-commerce has to end in delivery, and the delivery ecosystem in India is very, very fragmented, very unorganized, and that's really what we are digitizing through our solution.
Yeah, really interesting. And I've partnered with some Indian SaaS companies on just different things, events. And tell us what is in your opinion, the kind of the state of SaaS in India right now? Are we just at the beginning? Tell us a little bit about what's happening there with the SaaS scene.
I think the SaaS scene in India is very nascent. Let's just start there. The adoption is very nascent. So when you think about these small businesses, they have very low or no level of digital adoption at all. Manual labor, the benchmarking of a SaaS investment is to manual cost, and manual cost always wins. And then you talk about the larger and kind of like the mid-sized, larger organizations, and they're still working with very legacy systems. They're still working with kind of like solutions that have been built for themselves. I mean, 10 years back, hey, build me a website and where I can accept orders. And, some web developer just created that for them. It's very unique to them. So it's legacy systems, low level of adoption. And that's really the SaaS scene in India right now.
Yeah, that's really interesting, fascinating. So let's talk about Pidge. Tell us what products and or services does Pidge offer?
So Pidge offers logistics technology, and we have built a product, and that's what makes it very unique. We built a product which is it's end-to-end, because a lot of times people don't understand that last mile logistics or intra-city logistics, hyper-local, whatever you want to call it, is more than a delivery. There are other components to it. For example, in India, even now, over 70% of the deliveries are cash on delivery. So they're not prepaid. The whole cash component, the collection, the reconciliation, it's a big challenge in the ecosystem. The entire customer experience is a big challenge as well, especially in terms of the visibility, the tracking, and the notifications, all of that stuff. Demand aggregation is another challenge because demand is now this omni-channel demand. And then to be able to aggregate that, to be able to build efficient routing and the rest of it, that is a big challenge. So we built a solution which is a very end-to-end solution. It's not just a routing mechanism. It goes all the way from demand aggregation to post-demand delivery experience. And that's the biggest thing that defines our solution. It's modular. So larger companies can take an individual modules, or you can take the entire suite of 8 products that we have. But one of the things that we are really mindful of is the technology adoption. And as I said, there are 2 challenges to technology adoption, actually everywhere in the world. The first is the complexity of onboarding. It takes a long time to onboard. You need to have IT resources, just the integrations, the kind of like a transfer of data is kind of like it's a massive problem. It could take weeks and months. Even some of the more popular SaaS could take a long time. Now here we're talking about an audience who may not even have a laptop. And you need to make your SaaS very low code so that they can access it, literally on a mobile phone and get going. The second challenge that I mentioned is really the return on investment. And businesses in India, especially in markets like India, it's kind of like more transactional mindset. So it's a mindset like, hey, what can I get instantly rather than let me invest and get long-term returns, especially with the small and medium businesses. So we solve for those 2 problems by having a self-serve solution, which is low code, self-onboard. From the time that you download to the time that you get started is less than 30 minutes. And that's something that's very unique as well. And the second problem that we solve in terms of adoption is we've built a transaction-based SaaS solution, which is, pay as you go. There's no other charge as you utilize it, not dissimilar to mobile companies. And that's really what we've done. So it's an end-to-end solution, it's self-serve, and it's transaction-based.
Yeah, really interesting. So are you targeting, who's your ideal customer profile? Is it e-commerce? Is it brick and mortar? Is it both?
It's anyone who delivers.
Okay.
It's anyone who delivers, regardless of, the channel that your demand comes from. Anybody who delivers needs our solution. So this could be, offline stores who are doing deliveries, like a lot of pharmacies and groceries, bakeries, etc., cloud kitchens. It could also be online stores that are delivering from, whether that's their warehouse or dark stores. So anybody who delivers needs the Pidge technology.
Okay. And when you say pay as you go, so is that per shipment, per delivery that then they're paying?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a completely, so we've built a closed wallet. Put your money, you control your money, and every time you deliver, there's a small transaction fees that just gets deducted from your wallet.
Okay. So no platform fee, no subscription. It
Nothing.
sounds like just as you use it, you pay. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And there is no setup cost, zero setup cost. So that's really what we built, and we've seen great traction with it.
Yeah, sounds like the environment there, are just the demands or expectations are a little different maybe than the US market, where, like you said, you've got to make it self-serve, you've got to make it mobile friendly, you've got to make it kind of that instant gratification when using your SaaS product in India.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I've learned is, look, anybody can give you a very complex talk. Anybody can go and build a complex product. But I think the real test of success is if your concept is understood by a 5th grader. And we kept that in mind. And the solutions that we build, they're designed for a 5th grader. And when you deal with personas that have different level of digital awareness, you want to make sure that it's understood by everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fascinating. Love it. So what year did you found Pidge?
2019.
Okay. 2019. And then where are you located? Do you have a headquarters, or you're remote, virtual?
No, we have our office in Gurgaon. It's in suburb of, well, it's not really a suburb. It's a city outside of Delhi and in India.
Okay. Okay. And what's your current team size?
We have about 55 people, largely comprising of our product, tech, and sales and marketing force. So, I mean, the entire organization is focused on either building the product or selling it.
Okay. Interesting. And, we talk a lot about the labor market. How is the labor market in India as you're scaling your company? Easy to find talent, hard, competitive?
Look, it's hard to always. It doesn't matter if you have 1.4 billion people. It's always a challenge finding the right person. So yeah, the labor market. I mean, there's finding the right talent is a challenge, and there is always a demand for that right talent, and there's been a lot of tech layoffs in corporate America. On the contrary, in India, the startup ecosystem is thriving, and there is still a challenge finding right people.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. And anything you want to share around your revenue size or anything around revenue ranges?
Yeah, so we currently have just a little over $1 million ARR in revenue.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's really where we are.
That's great. Congrats on hitting that. And
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your go-to-market motion. How are you finding prospects and customers?
Yeah, well, I think classic adoption curve. Finding the innovators is and the early adopters is really what the key is. You're not going to discover them entirely digitally. It's going to be more of a network. The more traditional advocacy and finding the right people to be able to be your advocates, product advocates. And we took a similar approach. We kind of like onboarded some marquee businesses, and it just had a trickle down effect. And in terms of just building that awareness, you have to kind of like social adoption is extremely important as well, especially when you work with micro and small businesses. So it's kind of like a combination of building advocacy versus and as well in addition, of course, to building that social presence.
Okay, so it sounds like you've got to seek out some of those early adopters that are not just going to come to you, but also landing some of those big logos, those big brand names. But maybe then that creates more awareness at that level as well.
Correct.
Yeah. And then how much capital have you raised to date?
We've raised $6 million to date. We started with $2 million in bootstrap capital. We added $1 million in seed round and then $2 million in a pre-series A round.
Okay. And you said 2 million in the pre-seed, you said?
Sorry, it's 3 million in the pre-series A round.
Okay. That's right. The pre-series, pre-series A. Okay, perfect. So 6 million to date. And so interesting journey, bootstrap, get a seed round, pre-series A. So what triggers or milestones did you see in that process that said you were ready to raise capital, or maybe just the pre-series A round as an example?
Yeah, look, one of the beliefs that I have is, while it's all cool to raise large capitals of large amounts of capital, I've always believed in raising enough for what we can successfully deploy over a 12 to 15 month period. Especially at an early stage, you want to continue to build your vision. You want to continue to build with a lot of speed and rapid scale. So you don't want to just dilute too much too early. And that's exactly the approach that we've taken. So the trigger points really is, when we raised the first round of capital, it was basically to launch additional services, and that's what we raised the capital. So basically to launch all of our value add-on services. The second round of capital that we recently raised is to have a national launch, and we're going to use this capital to launch across the country. And in the last few months, we've already gone from one city in India to 6 cities now.
Okay, great. And tell us any lessons learned along the way in that fundraising journey.
Don't count your chickens until they're hatched. The fundraising environment, as we all know, is challenging. Your fundraising could take a lot of time, and you cannot, it's very important through the entire process to be able to continue with your growth journey. You just can't lift your foot off the pedal. And that's been our biggest learnings as consuming as the fundraising process is, especially for a young startup. It's very time consuming, and to continue running your business, to continue the growth, continue hiring people and raising capital, it's literally you're doing 3 jobs.
Yeah.
And 24 hours in a day is not enough. So until and unless, if anyone is willing to go through that entire, it's very painful, it's challenging, but it's rewarding at the end of the day.
Great. And so with the, I was going to ask, with the fundraising journey, with your investors, are these local investors, international investors?
No, these are European investors. They're European investors, institutional investors.
Okay. And then how did that end up? How did you find investors in Europe? Through networks, just reaching out to random investors, or maybe you knew they were interested in this type of product?
No, it was through network. There was a reference, and we got talking, and just explaining the proposition. So it was through a network. We did not have an intermediary. We did not have an investment banker. And we just ran the process with the help of a legal firm here.
Okay, interesting. And then as you manage and guide your business now, is there a favorite number or metric that's important at this stage of your business?
Adoption.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, our business model is targeted for the unorganized sector in India, which I said is over 90%. And that's really what we're seeking at this point in time, is building our active users on a monthly basis. And we're a few hundred active users on a monthly basis right now. Active users here mean active business accounts, and our target is to have more than 10,000 by the end of this year, and then just continue to grow that quarter on quarter. I can see this being several million active users in a couple of years' time, and
Yeah.
that's how big the market is. So my single metric right now is building that adoption.
Okay, that's great. And then Ratnesh, really appreciate your time as we wrap up here. What's next for Pidge? What's coming up that's new and exciting?
Well, look, I think the biggest thing for us is we have a very exciting pipeline of products. Our entire purpose is to grow the ecosystem by digitizing the unorganized. India is a very exciting market. So as much as, I do see Pidge international, but I think for the immediate future, our focus is in digitizing. I'd like to see, for the sake of the ecosystem, I'd like to see more and more businesses be digitized, more and more organized third-party logistic options be available, so that it can continue to fuel the e-commerce vision of this country.
Yeah, it sounds like exciting times for Pidge. And if listeners would like to learn more about Pidge, where should we send them online?
Well, our website, our social pages, our website, Pidge.in is a good source of all the information, including just getting an insight into, the suite of products that we have.
Okay, perfect. So if you'd like to learn more about Ratnesh and Pidge, check out pidge.in. And Ratnesh, really appreciate your time, sharing your experience and your background today.
Thank you so much, Ben. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and very insightful questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.